Hey everyone, what's up? This is Celador. This is my first YouTube video, so go a little easy on me. Um, I've been waiting to make a video for quite a while now, and I've just been waiting for something, to grab my attention that I get really passionate about, and Dawn Exodus's video was sort of the perfect opportunity for me to make one. I respect Dawn Exodus, and I think he does a lot of good work defending evolution and fighting creationism, which is some seriously scary shit. But like Cobain, 52, and others, he's a theistic evolutionist, and he believes in God, and he put his beliefs out there on the table. And while I know, that he doesn't really seem too keen on debating them, I think he should be able to take criticism if he's going to put them out there. So yeah, there's going to be a reply to his Why I Believe in God video. I found a lot of things wrong with it that I want to talk about. Firstly, he begins talking about religion and politics and why he doesn't really like debating them. And I just think that's a cop-out because, well, the amazing atheist already ripped on him quite a bit for this, but he tries to say that religion and politics have been debated for millennia and we haven't gotten anywhere. Well, obviously that's complete bullshit because we've gotten so far. Where do you think that your version of theistic evolution and liberal Christian, where the fuck do you think that religion came from? Do you think that just grew naturally on its own? No, it's through discussion. It is through people getting critical of religious beliefs, and that's where the apologetics came from. That's where your entire philosophy on Christianity. I mean, before it was like you worked on the Sabbath, you actually did get stoned to death, and your belief that it's all allegory, that came from discussion of religion, discussion of politics. It's just so ridiculous for you to say that. In addition to religion, obviously politics is incredibly important, probably more important than religion to discuss. How do you think policy gets made? How do you think this country was fucking created? Debate on politics. That's all it was. Jesus. So I think that's a little ridiculous. If you don't like personally debating it, then that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but you can't say that we've gotten nowhere. Anyways, next you go on to discussing the differences between belief and knowledge. Knowledge is 100% certainty, and you don't say I know evolution, I know God exists, I know these things happen, because no scientist would ever say that. Even the most concrete theory would never say when you say you know something, it's a discrete variable. It's something I know how to read, or I know 4 out of 5 Maxwell equations or whatever, some shit like that. I know a little bit of quantum mechanics. That knowledge is, they're just different fucking words. So let's see, next you talk about how if there's no empirical evidence for something, then it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. You're absolutely right about that. But this is the most basic. This is the first thing that every time fucking Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris or some atheist like that goes on a newscast or goes on some interview fucking show, the very first question they ask is you're an atheist, how can you disprove God? You can't disprove it. It's beyond scientific yeah, fuck it. No one fucking says with 100% certainty that there's no God. It's always the example they give right away is if there's a tiny teapot orbiting between here and Mars, and everyone's fucking heard this, but if there's a tiny teapot orbiting between here and Mars that's so small no telescope can see it, and I'm trying to claim that the teapot's there, and you're probably not, how the fuck did it get there? Then I'd be oh well, just because you can't disprove the teapot, just because there's no empirical evidence for the teapot doesn't mean it's not there. Yeah. Unicorns, leprechauns, what the fuck? Come on, this is the stupidest fucking argument. I hate hearing this shit. Um, Next, you go on to love and what if person A loves person B, how could we tell? How could science could never tell? That is fucking bullshit. Like you pretend like science is like only like a tool that can fit for certain things. It's not. Scientific reasoning, critical thinking. These are lifestyle. These are trains of thought. These are not. It's not just a fucking tool. Like when you think, oh, are two people in love? How can we test this? You can test it. You can. You can do brain scans. You can look at, the emotional connection between two people. You can study their relationship. Do they make sacrifices for each other? Do they give to each other? Do they have romantic involvement? Do they have, a relation, like a family relationship? Do they, you know, um, there's just so many. I mean, how do you know that you're in love? How do you know yourself that you're in love? Half the reason you know that you're in love is because you've seen movies of other people in love, and you know what it looks like, you know what it feels like, you know when you behave. Plus, love is such like an abstract thing. It's just it's meaningless. You talk about how you're not compartmentalizing, which is not true. That's exactly what you're doing. You're taking a thought process, a scientific critical thinking thought process, and you're ignoring it for your religion. And it's not it's not a tool. I mean, it can be used as a tool, but it's not just a tool. It's a mindset. It's like, I'm not going to believe shit until I have evidence that it's there. That's what science is about. It's not just like, oh, I really want to build some shit, and I need to figure out the best way to do it. I'm going to use science now. I'm going to bring science out from like the closet and fucking hammer it into what I'm building or whatever. You can't use science to disprove anything that's supernatural that you define outside the realms of science. Obviously you can't, but what you can use science to talk about is whether or not there's a human predisposition to believe in these things, whether or not people as a whole, believe in things, and when they're unjustified in doing so, believe are human beings irrational creatures? Yes, science can show, psychology can show, the study of the brain, neurology, everything can show that we are fallible beings, that we have a propensity to make shit up. Make it up. That's what we do. We're fucking humans. Like, we've been doing it since the dawn of time. And you're gonna pretend like this one thing that, you believe in God or whatever is not made up, but everything that humans as a whole spend fucking most of their life thinking of shit that isn't real. I mean, be in support of like James Randi or Michael Shermer or some kind of skeptic like that, going to dowsers, going to John Edward and their sidekicks and shit like that, and going and being like, let's test this, this is bullshit that you have this. Like, if you're gonna claim that the ionizing foot bath, if you're gonna claim that there's chi and energy running through us, you better be able to fucking prove it. And we all support that. We'd be like, no, that shit's bullshit. But you know what they say? Oh, it's outside the realm of science. You can't test this. You can't test this. These beliefs. We can show that people, have been pretending to be psychics for years, that there's methods that you can use to look like you're a psychic. You can use science to disprove lots of bullshit. Like, bullshit doesn't have a fucking free pass over here that science can't touch. Science can touch it. Science can touch religion because science studies people, and religion is something that people have created. Say it again.